Chosen one, this phase requires discipline, not effort. Discipline. Guard your energy, protect your schedule, say no without explaining, listen more than you speak. The less noise you make, the faster alignment locks in. There's a reason pressure is increasing right now. Pressure doesn't appear before collapse, it appears before release. What feels heavy is actually compressed potential preparing to expand. If you've felt unusually tired, unusually alert, or unusually detached from things that once mattered, that's because your priorities are being rewritten. You're not losing interest, you're gaining altitude. From this point forward, notice how fast situations resolve when you stop forcing them. Notice how clarity arrives when you choose stillness over reaction. Notice how obstacles dissolve when you don't fight them directly. This is higher order movement. You're being trained to operate without friction. And understand this clearly, once authority is recognized, interference becomes risky. That's why attempts against you now are indirect, subtle, psychological, meant to pull you into explaining, proving, defending. Don't take the bait. Authority does not defend itself, it stands. If someone pushes for information, slow down. If someone questions your direction, stay quiet. If someone pressures you to decide quickly, pause. Urgency is rarely aligned, precision is. What comes next will validate everything you've sensed but couldn't confirm. The silence will break, but not loudly. It will break through opportunity, access, and undeniable alignment. And when it does, those who doubted will pretend they always knew. Let them. You don't need acknowledgement. You need momentum. This is your final reminder for this half. Stay composed, stay observant, stay clean in your decisions. The system is no longer testing you, it's clearing space. If you feel this in your body right now, comment, "I'm ready." Chosen one. What happens after a record is flagged is never immediate noise. It is quiet authorization. Doors don't burst open, phones don't ring instantly. Instead, pathways begin rearranging themselves without asking permission. And if you've felt a strange calm mixed with pressure lately, that's because things are already moving without requiring your input. This is the phase where separation accelerates. People who once had access to you will suddenly feel distant. Conversations will shorten. Invitations will disappear, not because you did something wrong, but because alignment is enforcing distance. When authority is activated, misaligned connections naturally fall away. This is not loss, this is filtration. Here's something crucial you need to understand right now. Once they found what they found in your records, you were no longer viewed as someone to be managed. You were reclassified as someone to be accounted for, and that changes everything. From this point on, attempts to influence you must go through layers. Delays you experienced before will no longer apply. Resistance now carries consequences. That's why opposition has softened into observation. Watching is safer than interfering. And you've probably noticed it. People hesitate before responding to you. Authority figures suddenly listen more closely. Situations that once felt blocked now feel undecided. That's not indecision, that's recalculation. This is where many chosen ones make a critical mistake. They speak too soon. They announce clarity before it's complete. They share plans before protection finishes forming around them. Do not do that now. What is forming needs quiet to stabilize. Silence is not absence. Silence is leverage. You don't need to convince anyone of who you are becoming. Evidence will arrive without your help. The more you stay composed, the faster systems finalize their adjustment around you. And let me say this clearly, what's approaching will feel sudden to others, but not to you. You've been carrying the internal weight long enough to recognize the release when it happens. That's why this moment matters. The final stretch before breakthrough determines whether momentum flows cleanly or meets unnecessary friction. So, slow your reactions, tighten your boundaries, respect your intuition even when it doesn't explain itself. You don't need full visibility yet. You only need obedience to what feels precise. If you're feeling an urge to withdraw slightly, to observe more than engage, to protect your time. Listen to that. That's not fear, that's calibration. Comment, I'm staying quiet if this resonates, because in the next part, I'm going to reveal what actually breaks the silence, and why when it does, nothing around you will return to the way it was before. Chosen one. When the silence finally breaks, it never announces itself with noise. It announces itself with alignment. One message, one meeting, one opportunity that lands without effort and without explanation. And suddenly, everything that felt stalled begins to move at once. That is how authority reveals itself, quietly, cleanly, and without asking permission. This is why the pressure has been increasing, not because you're in danger, but because the window is narrowing. Precision matters now more than passion, timing matters more than emotion, and discipline matters more than desire. The system does not reward urgency, it rewards readiness. Here's the part most people don't see. Once your record was flagged, a countdown began. Not a threat, a transition. The kind where hesitation costs more than action. The kind where clarity must be followed immediately by alignment. If you delay now, you won't lose the opportunity. You'll simply make it heavier than it needs to be. That's why distractions are louder lately. Old memories resurfacing, people reappearing with unfinished conversations, temptations to explain yourself, justify your past, or reopen doors that already closed for a reason. These are not random, they are last-minute attempts to pull you back into familiarity before the threshold locks behind you. Do not confuse familiarity with safety. What's coming requires space. Emotional space, mental space, schedule space. If you clutter this moment, you slow the release. If you stay clean, momentum accelerates on its own. Pay attention to how your body responds now. Notice how certain environments drain you faster than before. Notice how your tolerance for chaos has dropped. Notice how your intuition interrupts you mid-thought. That's because your operating level has changed. What once felt normal now feels misaligned. And here's the truth that should steady you. Nothing that is meant for you can miss you at this stage. The system has already adjusted. What's yours has been tagged, timed, and redirected. Your role is not to chase, it's to stay aligned. This is not the season for proving. This is not the season for announcing. This is the season for positioning. When the silence breaks, and it won't ask if you're ready. It will assume you are. That's why preparation is happening internally before confirmation arrives externally. If you felt compelled to simplify your routines, your circle, your commitments, that's alignment asking for cooperation. The lighter you move, the faster doors open. The heavier you carry, the more friction you feel. So here's your instruction for this phase. Do less, but do it cleanly. Say no without guilt. End conversations early. Keep plans minimal. Let clarity finish forming around you. Comment, I'm aligned, if you feel this tightening into focus. Because in the final part, I'm going to tell you what happens immediately after the silence breaks, and why, once it does, there is no returning to the version of life you knew before. Chosen one. What happens after the silence breaks is irreversible, not dramatic, decisive. The system does not reopen debates, it executes. And when execution begins, everything that once questioned you becomes irrelevant. Here is the moment you've been sensing without language. Confirmation without explanation. It arrives calmly, almost anticlimactically. One approval, one green light, one door opening without resistance. No announcement, no applause, just access. And in that instant, you will realize why the silence was necessary. Because preparation required privacy. This is when authority moves from recognition to activation. People who once overlooked you will suddenly adjust their tone. Those who delayed you will reposition themselves carefully, not because you demanded respect, but because momentum now speaks on your behalf. This is the quiet power that changes environments without confrontation. And here's the truth that steadies your nervous system right now. Nothing needs to be fixed anymore. The struggle phase is complete. The proving phase is complete. The explaining phase is complete.